Over in the pages of Marvel Comics' core X-Men series, the publisher is in the midst of the FallofX status quo. FallofX really kicked off in earnest during the X-Men's annual Hellfire Gala, where the anti-mutant group known as Orchis went ahead and attacked. Now, Marvel's mutants are scattered across the globe trying to fight back against Orchis in the shadows. But how does this unlikely attack from Orchis lead to the wedding between EmmaFrost and Tony Stark? My name is Arako Braddock, and today let's go ahead and see how an Avenger and an X-Men plan on sharing some vows over in the pages of X-Men 26. Before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button over on this video. We're not losing an X-Men, we're gaining an Avenger. The moment we swore would never happen, heck, the moment EmmaFrost swore would never happen, is here at last. As the Frost-Stark knot is tied in Invincible Iron Man 10, Emma's mutant family reacts to this surprise news. X-Men issue 26 is written by Gerry Duggan, featuring art from Towe and Javier Pina. We have colors from Marte Gracia, letters from VC's Clayton Cowles, and design from Muller and Bowen. In addition, we also have a look over at the cover coming in directly from Lucas Werneck. So this is half of the marriage cover between Tony Stark and EmmaFrost. Really excited to see how that plays out, and I'm really impressed with how Gerry Duggan has been able to connect some of the plot threads from the Invincible Iron Man series over to this X-Men comic book. I think artists Javier Pina and Towe brought some really excellent work over to some of these pages. I particularly like some of the opening sequences that we have and think it's so fascinating how we get a little bit more context behind the relationship between Kingpin and Typhoid Mary to go ahead and open up this issue. Really think it's interesting right now how Typhoid Mary and Magic are currently in the middle of the Realm of X storyline. So I'm really impressed with how this creative team is continuing to explore the current status quo over with Kingpin. Think it's really fascinating how he's turning out to be a friend to Emma, but I also really like that Gerry Duggan is leveraging some antagonism in this relationship as well. Wilson Fisk is a villain in the Marvel Universe. Even if you're working with Wilson Fisk in a mutually beneficial relationship, I think it's fitting that some of his personality flaws bubble up to the surface. I really thought the art team managed to capture this animosity with a beautiful panel bleed that we can see up on the screen over from EmmaFrost. Also, this sequence over with Kingpin's face, Wilson Fisk's face, draped in so much shadow is an absolutely enthralling element of this title that really introduces the animosity over in their relationship exceedingly well. Also, really appreciate how we get some follow-up over to this new Hellfire Club that's assembling in these X-Men comic books before our very eyes here. Very interesting to see Tony Stark and Wilson Fisk take on some new roles over in the title. And I really have to commend Gerry Duggan for assembling and touching back on so many of these plot threads over in the main X-Men series. Even though Kamala Khan Miss Marvel now has her own FallofX adjacent miniseries, Gerry Duggan continues to re-explore and head back into that plot thread in his own way here. Thankfully, though, in this next sequence where Kitty Pryde is infiltrating the Bloom over on Orchis to get back against an X-Men who has been deemed a traitor is a super fun sequence that Gerry Duggan has been setting up across these X-Men issues for quite a while here. It's very cathartic to have been following the main core X-Men series and to see the relationship between, Kitty Pryde and this mysterious X-Men traitor take place in such an interesting capacity here. When Kitty learns about the status quo for the character, Gerry Duggan does a great job sort of inverting this sequence and doing so much plot in such a short amount of time between Kitty and this mysterious individual. But I do think it's warranted because Kitty is currently an X-Men and has so much plot development, and also this mysterious plot thread that traces back to the traitor also has ties to some of the most important X-Men who Kitty herself has also spent a lot of time with. So I think this issue does a great job fleshing out some of the subtext over in some of these scenes to really write like a character-focused narrative, despite all of the wacky and odd scenarios taking place across these X-Men titles. Of course, this issue is tasked with so much, and amidst all the other really excellent and fascinating FallofX status quos, we also have to feature the relationship between Emma and Tony. Was very happy to see Fei Long still hold strong across some of these X-Men titles and to see some progress over in Emma and Tony here. There was at least some scenes within this issue where we got to see them operate as a couple, and I do think the more I learn about this status quo between Emma and Tony getting married, and the more I learn about their situation and how it ties back to Orchis, the more interested I become in this marriage in the first place. While it doesn't feel like this is really going to last towards the long run, I think Gerry Duggan and Marvel's editorial have done a great job thinking through some of these plot details and lending some really excellent story sequences over to this tale. Also, the idea of Emma and Tony getting married when they're both on the run for Orchis, I think should prove to be a lot of fun here. So at the end of the day, I thought X-Men 26 was another fantastic issue of the series. I also really like how Duggan is trying to tell some new lore over with Kamala Khan as well. And the formation of the mysterious Hellfire Trading Club over in the background of this issue is so enthralling. I think there's so many fantastic plot threads that are captured between all these different X-Men titles. And I think X-Men in particular has really stepped up its game in the lead up over to the Hellfire Gala. The amount of plot threads unleashed over in this issue is just absolutely mesmerizing. Really thought that the art team brought something interesting over to this series with Javier, Pina, and Jim Towe. I want to know from you, did you like this issue as much as I did? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our review of X-Men 26. And we'll be back to talk future X-Men titles and the future of the Marvel Universe. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.